guys, welcome to episode 1 of The Modern Monks. This is actually a reshoot of our first episode.
A few audio technical difficulties.
Yeah, we ran into a little bit of technical trouble on our first recording, but we're back. My name's Will Grant, and this is my boy, Eamon O'Connor. We decided to start this podcast, I don't know what,
12 months.
6 months ago. We really wanted to get across how to implement a little bit of a modern take on philosophy and how to bring that into an everyday life. We don't think philosophy is something that should just be reserved for
the
people.
Intellectuals.
Yeah, exactly. Like
esteemed people. We just want real people with like day-to-day issues to be able to run with the stuff that we're talking about, implement some stuff that works true for us. Stuff that we implement in our days that is simple as basic, simple tasks that we can just go, run through our days as well. So
couldn't agree more, man. And so we figured the best thing for us to do in episode 1 is to introduce ourselves a little bit. So I'm going to fire some questions at E, and then he'll return fire. But just so you can get to know the big man, where he's come from, where he is now, and then where he sees himself headed in the future. So Eamon, you're an acupuncturist.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit how you fell into that line of work, being a middle-aged Australian man.
Fucking weird. Always with the sass at the end. So I probably had, everyone thinks that, like, knowing me now, that I had the most unconventional kind of upbringing and that acupuncture and Chinese medicine was just a mainstay in my family. But it wasn't. I had the conventional life up until about 19 when I was training for a bodybuilding comp and I slipped 2 discs in my lower back. And it basically leveled me because I had everything planned out. I was going to do exercise, sports science. I was going to be a physio. Everything was going to go from rocking and rolling and work for sports teams and just be a fucking boss when it comes to that. But the back injury just didn't resolve itself. And I was leveled. And I would go to a physio and I would go to a specialist and they would just say, keep going. We'll just keep working through it and everything will be fine. Got to a point about 3 months in that I had excruciating pain going down my lower back, hitting the sciatic nerve and shooting down my legs and going all the way up to my spine to give me powerful, painful headaches, the back of my head. And I knew something wasn't right. And the specialist told me that I would have cortisone injections, which is basically just a therapy in which they just numb the nerves and calm everything down so you don't have the pain. And he scheduled that fortnightly, monthly, and he said that would be indefinitely. So that would be the rest of my life. And I just knew that was just not the case. I knew that at 19 that this wasn't my life.
So you took it in, so you literally took this into your own hands and started diving into Chinese medicine and like what you could do better to not only prepare the body for certain things, but heal the body back to its original state.
100%. And I didn't know that at the time. Obviously, all I cared about was getting better, but I knew that I was motivated by more than just being one of those people that, no one wants to hang around with because you're just always complaining about this and that. And I knew that kind of victim mentality was just going to become part of my life if I was, getting cortisones every week and I wasn't going to the clubs and I wasn't, having a normal 19-year-old life.
And you do love to go to the club.
And I do love a dance. I definitely loved the dance back then. Now it's a little bit more popping at different things.
Robotic. So after diving into that, so take us through the steps now. So you discovered a different way to look at healing the body, a different way to keep in check with the body.
Yep.
So what's the big take home? Well, give everyone a bit of a take home from how you went to discovering acupuncture to how you dived into it. Like, so what was the transition there? Because that's really what, we want to put across is those transitional moments that help people go from, profession to passion.
Absolutely. And I think everyone looks for defining moments in their lives, defining experiences. But I really felt like at that time, it was an accumulation of a lot of stuff. I was just sick and tired of people telling me that this would be a certain way forever. So I was up and open to trying something different. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew at that time that I was open for any experience. And so when my friend told me to go try acupuncture, it wasn't like, it's weird, it's foreign, I didn't want some weird thing happening to my body or anything like that. I was just like, yep, jump in, straight in, let's see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? Because the alternative was sitting on the bed, not sleeping at night.
You already had the worst case scenario.
Yeah,
like,
I could already
life of
planned
pain.
out.
Yeah, life of pain. Just deal with it.
It was all there because they line you up to send you to pain clinics. And if anyone in there listening knows what a pain clinic is where you're in chronic pain for such a long period of time that they put you in these like Alcoholics Anonymous type circles and groups. And I'm not trying to marginalize anyone who's in that or anything like that, but they put you into these systems in which you just talk about your pain, but there's no actionable steps on how to get out of it. And you can take control of your life. And I felt like that at 19, and I knew there was a plan. So when I went to go and see the acupuncturist, who was actually a sports medicine practitioner for a lot of local football teams up in Sydney, he was just like, get on the bed, let's sort this out, and just do what needs to get done so you can get back and return to your life. So I got to experience it, and it just dramatically changed my life. I can remember the single moment that I was like, I need to share this with the world. I need to give this to everybody. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know in what capacity at that age or how I was going to do it, but I just felt it, bro. I felt it from my balls all the way to my eyes.
And from going from 19 to, what are you now? 27. 27, but you're on the inside, you're a 96-year-old Chinese man.
I'm probably 1,000 years old. I froth the Asian culture.
Old soul.
Yeah.
Massive old soul.
Yeah.
So next step from there, man.
Yep.
You've got your own practice in
Yep.
Tirul.
Currently, yep.
All right. So that's your spot at the moment. What's the general pop that you treat? Like, what's your regular clientele? Like, who's your, John Smith?
Absolutely. So I would say, look at me kind of like your GP, but in the acupuncture alternative medicine world. So I basically treat all demographics because I can't say no to anyone who's in pain. Like the key things that I treat are chronic pain and neurological disorders because that lights me up, and that's something that was so personal to my own journey. So people who have sciatic pain or chronic lower back problems or any degenerative problems. But also what I've found is also really life affirming is working with people with things like Parkinsonian syndromes or CNS problems, which is like your central nervous system problems, because it's really rewarding having someone who wants their life back, but they don't want the goals to, be able to go on the dance floor like I did when I was 19. They want to go, you know what I mean? They don't want to just like live it up and, all jokes.
They don't need to do the worm at fever at 3 a.m.
Yeah, they don't need that Wollongong lifestyle. They just want to pick up their kids or go for a walk or have some semblance of their life back.
Yeah, so you're just bringing back that feeling and that, passion to everyday life. Like,
yeah.
It's, there's nothing worse. And speaking from experience, I've had my fair share of pretty severe injuries due to sport. And there's nothing worse than the next day. So if you're going to visit, a niece or nephew, and I'd imagine it'd be worse if it was your own child, you can't pick them up, you can't run in the park, you can't play on the monkey bars.
Yeah.
So to be able to give someone back that power in the day to day, I reckon it's massive, man. You're doing an unreal job.
Yeah.
Bridging that gap.
And it's hard, a lot of public perception it's not easy to bridge. It's foreign for a lot of us to think it's more than just, because a lot of people have experiences with dry needling and things like that, just local needling, local acupuncture. But it's outside of that how you feel. Like you come for a spruce, right? And I'm not saying that acupuncture is the greatest thing in the world, but it is.
Plug.
I'm just a massive proponent of it. Plug, AcuFit Tirul. But it's when something lights you up and there's something that you want to share with the world, like you got to have to kind of share it. But there's something about it that you kind of experience as well.
And this is the thing. So, and I really want to drum this in episode 1 as well, because we are not here to sell something or to push a way of life onto people. 100%. We are literally sharing experiences that both of us have had that happen to have intertwined. Like our journeys have crossed, we get along like a house on fire. There's constant sass back and forth, but at the same time, every time we meet, we have a conversation that we're like, shit, why don't more people have these conversations? Why aren't people talking like this? Why are people just blinkers on, too afraid to look at what's going on left and right? Like, it's, so it's not so much that we're saying this is the way to do things, but, we're just sharing our experience, and if you can take something out of it, then fantastic. Like, we've done our job.
100%. And that's what I think. A lot of people come to me and they say, oh, sell me acupuncture. And it's like, I'm not trying to sell you anything.
Get on the table.
Get on the table. It's more about finding what works for you. And the only way to find what works for you is to throw yourself outside of your comfort zone, because nothing happens in your comfort zone. Everything happens in that uncomfortable area where you're learning things, where you're failing at things. And you may have to try a lot of different things in your life, and you have to fail at a lot of different things. But when you find that one thing that lights you up, that tickles your balls, that just kind of gets your hair up in the air, you know what I mean? That's where it's at. That's what the whole point of this is. And I think we're just in a lucky and fortunate point and place in our lives that we get to share this on a daily basis, and we get to communicate with people on a daily basis. But what we want for ourselves, we want for everybody. And I want you to find whatever lights you up and makes you feel good. Acupuncture makes me froth. there's no two ways about it. I love it. I love the feeling that I get. But if at any point I lost that and I found something else that lit me up, I would follow that, like moth to flame. I think that kind of mentality about passions and being pain-free and having your best life, they aren't Hollywood dreams. What your dream is pertinent and relevant to you. You can have that. And I'm sure you've experienced that too, bro.
Yeah, definitely, bro. It's and it's allowing yourself to actually connect with that ideology that is the freeing part.
Yeah.
It's all good and well for everyone to say, oh yeah, one day I want to do this, one day I want to do that. But, the person that's connected, the person that understands, what they're feeling and why they're drawn to something, and then acting upon being drawn to something, that's the person that's, allows himself to be connected with what they want to do.
Yeah.
You're not, sitting there going to bed at night dreaming of a better future. You're waking up the next morning and you're putting the pieces of the puzzle together to do that.
Yeah.
And that's the powerful thing that, that you want to share. But before we tangent off too much, another question for you.
We have a tendency to do that.
Yeah, we do have a tendency.
Bear with us, people, please.
I'll pull him up. Don't worry. The big dog's got some big brains.
Keep going.
So we've heard where you've come from.
Yep.
We know where you are.
Yep.
All right. What's next for AcuFit? What's next for Eamon O'Connor? Summarize, the next 12 to 18 months, short-termish, but, the steps forward from here.
Absolutely. So a lot of people know that Will and I are working together and looking to build a facility in the coming months, starting from July. But my goal has been, and I felt it for a long time, is to literally help as many possible people as I can. So anyone who needs my help, I'm never shying away from that opportunity to help. So my goal for 12 to 18 months is literally give as much as possible and work towards that. So work towards just pain-free for everybody. And it can be pain-free, whatever's relevant to you. But for me, the next goal of 12 months is to literally shake as many hands, meet as many people, help as many people, get people feeling what I've been lucky enough to feel, like we've been lucky enough to embrace, and really share that with the world. So that's my 12 to 18 month goal, is to build this facility, build not the brand, but the message, the mission statement.
That's
all
the
of
important thing. It's essentially it does boil down to being a brand.
Yeah.
And it's not a brand that's for sale. It's a brand that you can just become a part of by having that belief, having that connection, and, having eyes on the prize for what it is that matters to you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, come to Ghetto Movement or come to AcuFit. It's what makes you tick, and how can you become a part of that way of thinking.
100%.
I think that's our biggest thing for the foreseeable future, is to get people, in a space where they are confident enough to say, fuck it. Why can't I do this?
100%.
Why can't I, wake up from this dream and go, fuck yeah, let's do it. We're on. Like, nothing's holding me back.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a few kicks in the shins and, falls a few times, but fuck.
So
if it was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone would be chasing
would
diamonds and silver and gold if it was easy.
And I think that's a classic point. I don't want to tangent off because I love a tangent, but something kind of like really annoyed me today, and I had to throw out a big expense. And I reached out one second. I reached out to Will. He hit me back and leveled me back in line. And I want to
share this exact experience.
No,
I want to share the experience. I want to share the experience. So Eamon bought a car. Eamon bought a Hyundai iLoad.
Yeah.
And his biggest fear was that he didn't want to pay more money than he had to, and he didn't want to buy a lemon. So he rings me, and his theory behind things is that I own a van, so I obviously know something about vans.
He's been vanning for a while.
I don't know dick about cars. Like,
tell me, dick.
I don't know shit.
You were walking around.
Yeah, I walked around. I played the part. So I went and tried the van out with Eamon. We had a look. Exactly like Eamon said, I got there, I seemed confident, which is what I do with everything in my life. I pointed, I shook my head, pulled my hands up to my face. I was like, oh, dunno. Went over to the guy and I was like, look, we ended up talking about, $1,000, $1,500 off the price. And I was like, look, this is a good deal. If this was me buying the car, I would buy it right now. Like, I'd give him the cash and say, yes, sweet. Eamon's a little bit more sensible than that. So goes to the dude. Here, look, do you mind if I get an independent mechanic check on it? Yeah. So the dude, he's like, yeah, no worries. The dude comes, plugs his thing in.
Clears it
and says, oh, there's a slight hissing in the turbo. Eamon rings me. Oh, there's a slight hissing in the turbo. I'm like, What do you want me to do about that? What do you want me to do with this information about the hissing in the turbo?
Something.
It rings Hyundai. Hyundai say, could be cheap, could be 6K. Eamon sends me the message today going, so he's bought the car. At this stage, he's bought the car. That's it. Sends me the message and says, so it's going to cost $2,943 to fix. To which my response is, I wonder how they come up with that figure. Like $43 when you're dealing in thousands now.
Not bring your friend off the cliff, off the, off the edge. Come on, guy, let's play guitar and chill out together.
To which Eamon replies, I don't know, parts and labor. And I said, yeah, I understand where they would get it from, but I'm like, I wonder how they landed on $43 and not $3,000. And Eamon goes, yeah, I don't know, but now the car's cost me about $19,500, which is way more than we wanted to pay. To which I respond, look, you made a decision in life. You have to deal with the consequences that now follow. If life wasn't teaching you lessons, it would be boring. My exact terminology was, it would be like Usain Bolt competing in the Paralympics. It wouldn't be a race, all right? There's no comparison. So life, you need to take those knocks. You need to make bad decisions. So then you have a lesson learnt. You have a story to tell. You have an experience.
Yeah. So you're basically saying the car's a lemon, but I get the opportunity to make lemonade.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
There's lemonade, baby.
There's
Just add a
lemonade,
little bit of
mate,
sugar, a bit of ice, mix that shit up.
Yeah, if I don't go into the debt, I'll be making lemonade. I see my stand. But the reason why we wanted to delve into that is that you need people around you that will check you back into it. You need to have friendship circle, family, community, and I feel like that's what we're trying to cultivate. That's our mission statement.
That, and I wasn't allowing you to push the blame on me.
Yeah, exactly. And he was trying to deflect successfully.
Very successfully.
Yeah. But let's swing it back. Let's swing this little pendulum back, because I would love to hear about the man kind of sitting in front of me today. So a lot of people know Wilbur G. A few of us know him as Dizzy Discount, Frost at Discount. Any opportunity to get something for free.
Discount.
Anytime he wants to run anything, he gets something for free. He wants to run a workshop, can't be bothered driving up Princess Highway. So what does he do? Brings a bloke down here, runs his own workshop. Yeah, that's just how he gets stuff done. So for the people who don't know you, I would love to hear a little bit about how you got to this point, why you're here, and where you're going from here.
Yeah, and it's a story. It's a story I really like to tell as well, because I was in that straight up. I was an electrician. Played football, played a lot of sports, but I was in that sort of, I'll call it a little bit self-destructive, in the sense that, we were grinding out, 60 to 80 hour weeks most weeks. And then, we'd drink and party as much as we could in that space. But then we'd also show up to train 6 days a week under a barbell, no stretching, no mobility work, no prep. It's just show up, grind out an hour session, leave, go to the pub, eat crappy food, go to bed after midnight, wake up at 6, go to work for 10 hours, rinse and repeat. I consider myself lucky because I had a string of horrible injuries. Between the age of 20 and 25, I had 3 major shoulder surgeries. One was a ruptured pec, and I dislocated my shoulder, I think 13 or 14 times in total, and had 2 recos. I've now got 2 screws running through my shoulder to make sure that the socket doesn't slip and dislocate again. So that was a big eye-opener for me on looking after your body. And I mean, that lesson always takes a long time to sink in. And, it took me 3 bites of the cherry to cotton onto the fact that I wasn't treating my body well. And I started practicing yoga. That made a huge difference in everything, really. It made a huge difference in my confidence across the board, like to do with training physically, even mentally. I was dealing with my emotions a lot better, and I started putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and yoga was a pretty big part of that puzzle. From there, I started to transition towards practicing more. Then I had the opportunity to teach, and I absolutely frothed on that. My first class sucked ass. Completely forgot what I was doing. Choked up my words. Fortunately, I had people encourage me to go back and try it again and again. So I went and completed my yoga teacher training. And yeah, it sunk in, and it's, you know, I realized not everyone has the same mindset, but as soon as I enjoyed it like that, I was like, I'd love to open my own yoga studio. I'd froth on that. And then I discovered hand balancing and started frothing on that. So I moved into more of the Ido Portal style movement training, lots of handstands, lots of florio, cartwheels, you know, dance, acrobatics, anything that was like, you know, moving and just, you know, getting the body into foreign shapes. And Ghetto Movement was born 2 years ago, a week or two ago.
So and if we unpack that, was there one culminating experience, or there was one interaction with someone, or something particularly that motivated and pushed that movement passion? Because obviously you were tradie beforehand.
Yeah, still am now, and I enjoy working on the tools. I like the experience. I love, you know, a bit of job site banter and everything. I never hated what I did, but I knew I couldn't do it for the rest of my life. I knew I didn't want to be, you know, that. And no offense to these guys, like, you know, you're in this position, whether you want to be or not, and that's completely on you. But I never wanted to be that guy that was 40 plus, still going to work on the tools, kicking stones, hating being there. You know, that I saw that, and every day you turned up to the job, you saw those guys. I never wanted to be one, you know, and like I do 1 or 2 days a week here and there, bit extra pocket money, help out the boys, and honestly, it's nice to do something different.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different attitude. Like I roll out of bed now at 4 a.m. and, you know, I'm frothing ass to come and teach an early class, and then I go to work for a day, and I don't mind it. But I just knew that wasn't for me long term.
Yeah.
Didn't want to know about it. You know, there had to be something else, and I just stumbled across yoga.
Yeah.
Yoga and movement. And who doesn't have a new hobby and go, oh, I wonder if I can make that a job?
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you probably should. Like,
but what do you think? Okay, that's a really interesting thing you just touched on, right?
Tangent.
No, you didn't tangent, but that's like perfect. So a lot of people, you flirt with the idea of something and your mind wanders, right? Like, oh, my personal trainer is pretty average, but I kind of like personal training, and I've been helping a couple of my friends do something. Why don't I get my PT certificates? Why don't I do this? Well, I've gone to a few yoga classes. The chick up front looks like she's having a blast. You know what I mean? She's just running a couple classes and goes home. What do you think stopping people, and what didn't stop you, is that crossing that line and being like, I think I can monetize this. I think I can make this into a profession and ghetto and this big thing that it is now?
Man, I honestly think dumb luck would be definitely a big factor. But I don't know. I don't see any barriers to the way life should be lived. Like, you know, there's that expression, like, stay in your lane. Like, fuck it, I'll take up the whole road.
Yeah,
I don't care. We're making a podcast. You know, it's something catches my attention. I enjoy it. I think, okay, if I enjoy it a lot, how can I do more of it? And if that's going to take up time that I should be earning money, how can I now earn money doing that thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just think too many people put a ceiling on what they're capable of and what they're qualified to do.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing in a lot of books that I'm reading at the moment, one in particular is Russell Brunson, and he talks about how, you know, the greatest achievements he's made to date, and like, he's a millionaire, he makes $1 million a day. He talks about the biggest achievements he's made, are the ones that he stepped out of his lane, dabbled in something that was completely out of his territory and completely out of his right to do, and it comes off.
Yeah.
Because when you do step out of your lane, you bring a fresh perspective to the lane that you're now in.
Yeah.
And then when you come back to your lane, you have a new experience to try and adapt to where you're comfortable. So, you know, blow the lid off the ceiling, blow the roof off the ceiling, and just expand. Dip your toes into as many things as you can. If it fails, awesome. You've learnt a way that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the biggest thing, is everyone's like, oh, what if I fuck up? What if I don't make it?
Yeah.
Like, what if you don't make what?
But you also, that recognition that I think it's, you know, it's that Tony Robbins quote. It's like, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they're going to do in a decade. Like if you plan out your year and you want to do a million different things, yeah, chances are you probably won't do a million different things. You'll just do a few things averagely, get disappointed, and just go hang back on the couch and not go out. But there's the expectation that when you go to something and try it new, that you're instantly going to be good at it just because it kind of lights you up. But I enjoy going to yoga, but I'm pretty shithouse. Like if anyone looks at any of the photos where I'm like, thanks Will for being my coach, my mentor, or I'm like, thanks Haz for teaching me some handstands and mobility stuff, and you look at it, you're like, I don't think he can do anything. Is he touching his toes yet? Like, what's going on? But it's a journey. It's not.
It's a journey. It's a long, drawn out journey too.
Yeah.
It's one of those things as well. Like, just a spoiler alert for life to everyone listening and watching. There's no magic fucking pill. Like, if you want anything, you have to put in the hard yards. Like, you have to put in the work. You need to find something that you do enjoy, because if you don't enjoy it, you're going to quit and it's a waste of your time.
Yeah.
All right? So I think that's a very important thing to take on board. Like, there is no magic fix. And if you like what you're doing, do more of it. If you don't, fuck it off and start again. Like, it's the Gary Vee quote. Like, it's 2018. You can literally do anything you want. You can find a job for whatever you want. And if it doesn't exist, make one.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah. And this is not kind of like something we can easily spout and just say, oh, it's easy for us, it comes naturally for us, therefore it should come easy and naturally to you. If you're introverted or you're extroverted, you have the same opportunities. If you've had hardships in your life, if you have things that are preventing you from spending 20 hours a week training or doing anything like that, and you can only have time to do an hour of training, then do the hour of training. Do everything that you can within your capacity to do to the best of your ability, and not beat yourself up. And I think that's one of the most critical things when someone comes to me and they say, I really want to get better, I want to feel better, but I can't come twice a week or 3 times a week. And I say, well, the best results are going to come from that consistency. And then they say, yeah, but I really, really want to get better. And I say, okay, let's work around this. Let's work around what you're capable of doing. So you come in once and you do all your homework outside of things, you're going to be in a better position.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. And I think, it's a perfect spot to sort of tie a knot on our conversation today, because that's what we're here to do. Our message is that exactly, that every experience that you get is one that you can learn from and one that you can build from.
Yep.
So, and like E just said, you can find those things that you do like doing, and if you can only fit in an hour of it here and there, that's fine. That's what it's going to be for now. Short term, you're happy with that. Long term, you build, and then all of a sudden, you're the king of the castle. You've got everything the way you all of a sudden planned it, only to find out that now you want to change lanes. It's that constant search for fulfillment that realistically you're probably never going to find, but you just need to be okay with that and moving forward and enjoying the journey from A to B to C, and if you live long enough, all the way down to Z.
Yeah, which we plan on doing.
Fountain of Youth's a real thing.
Which we're going for. Magic Pill might not be real, but
the Fountain
of Youth is real. If I've seen Pirates of the Caribbean, it's definitely real.
It's epic. All right, man. I reckon that's a wrap for our first one today. Thanks for being patient with the release of episode 1, guys. We hope you enjoyed it as much as us. I want to thank Eamon from AcuFit and the supportive community that is Ghetto Movement, and our homies at Definition Fitness downstairs for always being abiding and
supportive in there. We also want to say that anyone who's listening that has absolutely any questions or anything, like, we're going to put reference notes at the end of each podcast you'll be able to find on our Modern Monks podcast Instagram page. So any books that we reference, any people that we talk about, we're going to have links to these people so you can listen into them, read more about what we're talking about. And if you have any questions, please direct it to us. This is an open forum. It's not a lecture. We haven't figured out life. If there's something that you know that we don't know and that we can share with the greater community and the people that are listening in, please drop your knowledge bombs here, because this is where we want to cultivate that. Yeah. So from both of us, lots of love. We hope to see you soon for episode 2, but this is episode 1 signing off.
Peace and love, legends.
Love you guys.